if you haven't heard of the Daycare Games, we're going to talk about what it is and how it got created and why you would want to do it. It's totally free. So we'll just start with that caveat. This is not a pitch for you to buy something from us. This is just a totally free event that we started several years ago. Every year we're like, maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. And then every year we decide that we're going to keep doing it because we get such great feedback from it.
Robin and I have worked together since 2006, 2007 on projects, but in 2013, we actually formed the Doggers, and we were focused on our roots of helping people run really the best dog daycare and play groups that they could. And so when the Olympics was coming up in 2014, we thought February is a slow time in our industry. Wouldn't it be fun to do a competition for daycare staff and facilities on leadership exercises that we have been teaching, that if you really focus on these leadership exercises, you'll find dogs are easier to manage and play groups will be more fun. And that was the first year we did the Daycare Games, and we didn't really know what we were getting into, but we wanted the facilities to be like countries, and then we were awarded virtual medals to team members. And we wanted it to be fair, so we set it up based on experience level. And so each week was a different competition. And then at the end, the facilities that had the most medals, again by size, because we didn't want a really large facility competing against a small one, we gave out virtual medals and awarded our first facilities to win the Daycare Games.
So when we did first start it, it was at the same time that the Winter Olympics were happening. So that was how we got the idea behind the facilities would be similar to countries. So you could earn facility medals, and then your individual daycare handlers, or like the individuals participating in the Daycare Games, so they could win medals as well. So depending on how many medals you win, just like with the Olympics, how many medals your individual Olympians win is based on who wins the country medal or the facility medal. So the three games, so to speak, that we did are the three exercises that Susan and I have always promoted and taught as basic foundational exercises for your daycare staff. So the dog recall, which is getting the dogs to come to you, and then group sit, which you've heard us talk about before, I'm sure, where you're getting multiple dogs to sit all at the same time for management and control. And then the gate boundary exercise, which is, can you get the dogs to stay behind an open gate? And as Susan mentioned, we do have groupings of sizes of facilities. So like Susan said, we didn't want a really large facility competing against a really small facility because it wasn't fair in terms of number of employees and number of possible medals you could win. So we have the facility separated by size. And this is something you do when you register. It's the honor system because it is a free event. So we do rely on you guys to report things in an honorable way. But then we also have taken the individuals, and you decide what level they are at as well. So we don't want a brand new staff member who maybe has only been working with the dogs for 2 months competing against a staff member that might have been in the industry for 6 years. Because again, that's not fair. When you sign your individual staff members up, you do tell us what category they are, whether they're novice or a little bit more experienced or really seasoned in the industry, because then they're competing against other people who have a similar experience level. So it evens the playing field a bit. And then obviously we give you the regulations, so to speak, of how each game works. It's a fun event. And we'll talk a little bit more about the actual events in a second, but what we hear over and over, and this is the reason that we don't stop doing it, is because every single year we get people who are like, my staff has never been so engaged with the dogs, because they're very competitive and they want to win medals and they enjoy having the fun of the accountability and the competition. And it just becomes a really fun event. And everybody always says that month of the Daycare Games, we have the fewest problems with the dogs. We have the most engaged staff. We have dogs that are having fun. And then people are like, you should do it all the time, which of course we can't, because it does take a lot of time to do it. But it is hopefully a way for you to see how great your staff really is and give them a chance to really shine as well.
And I think that's a great point, Robin. Too often we're focused on what isn't going right with our staff. And this whole event is focused around focusing on their progress and achievement. And it is amazing. The thing that gets me doing it every year is all the videos and pictures we get from participants, and we encourage that. It's a great marketing opportunity for your business. And when you put together that closing ceremonies, it gets me every time. I cry
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah, every year, and I will say from someone in the doghouse, they said it's our team's favorite time of the year. So that's awesome. I love hearing that because it does give you a chance to recognize them, and really it gives them a chance to show off how great that things that they've really learned and are able to accomplish with the dogs, which sometimes we don't always take the time to celebrate that. So it gives us all an opportunity. But Susan's right, throughout the daycare games, we allow you to, obviously we encourage you to take pictures and videos and share that on your Facebook page, because it is a great way to let your community know what you're doing to care for the dogs and how well managed the dogs. And you would be really surprised. Maybe you wouldn't be really surprised, but there's a lot of people out there that have no idea that dog daycare can be calm and orderly and the dogs are having fun without it being total chaos. There's a lot of people who think you put a bunch of dogs together and it's complete mayhem. We all know if you're running a well-run daycare, that's not the case. So this gives you a chance to show that through videos and through video pictures. So we encourage you to do that anyway. But then we have asked people to send us videos, and then we put together as much as we can. We take all those videos and photos and put them together in a compilation called the closing ceremonies. And we have obviously the Olympic music in the background. So it's fun. But Susan and I will sometimes show that at a presentation, and every single time, like we've seen it a million times, every single time we will get all teary eyed, like, oh, these dogs and people are so great. So it is a lot of fun. But we definitely would encourage you guys to sign up. Like I said, there's no charge. This is completely free. So all you need to, but we do limit it to 150 facilities. The reason we have to limit it to 150 facilities is primarily a staffing issue on our side. And that is that obviously for this free event, we can have up to 900 to 1,000 different individuals competing. And that was last year when we only allowed 100 facilities. But you figure anywhere from on average, 3 to 10 people per facility. And then some of the larger facilities have even more. By the time you add up every single individual, we're actually grading, so to speak, the scores that you send us of up to 1,000 people. And this year it'll probably be a little bit more than that. As you can imagine, it takes a lot of our staff's time. And so that is really the main reason that we have a cutoff. We typically in the past have actually brought our staff on for additional hours in February to do this. We do have that restriction on it for right now, but definitely sign up. And then right now, someone emailed me the other day and was like, I want to do the daycare games. What should I get? What should I start doing now? And we would tell you right now, you should be practicing. That's the biggest thing. There is no reason you can't practice and be more prepared when the games actually start.
Yeah, it's a great way to get your team excited. They'll get some recognition. It is competition. You want to make it fun. We have seen centers that do special t-shirts for their team members. They definitely will often have the little medal stands, and they somehow print the medals and we'll put ribbons on them. So there's some fun things you can do to prepare and make it just even more fun.
And we've seen several facilities that actually do a running of the torch through their facility to begin with. So they just do their own thing. That's not something that is part of the daycare games, but because it is based on the Olympics, we've had several people now that send us videos of someone carrying a torch and they pass it through the daycare and they pass it through the lodging and grooming. And then they
no fire. It's like a flashlight or something.
No fire. Yeah. It's usually either a fake, like a paper torch or a flashlight or chem light or something like that. But we just crack up laughing because there's some folks that get really creative and they build this whole marketing theme of their own around it. So it can be a lot of fun. We do give you some marketing material. We give you a press release you can use, and we give you some other information you can have at your disposal to market it. So when you do sign up, you'll get a link to that page where the marketing material is. But I think this is the first year we've seen a marketing. It was down in Australia.
Mhm.
And we just shared it on our Facebook page, so you can find it there. But it's the earliest we've ever seen somebody who's taken advantage of the marketing. Normally we see articles in February, but this one was like coming up, and it was a really nice article about this daycare in Australia, and it was picked up by their newspaper. And so they got some really good publicity out of it as well. So we would encourage that too. And we try to give you some of the tools you can use for that.
And the great thing is we don't limit it to one gold medal per event. Everybody who scores at the range of the curve that earns gold gets a gold medal. And there's multiple golds, silvers, and bronzes, but it's not like everybody that participates gets a medal, because there is a threshold. So there is still competition to it, but there are multiple winners.
So in the doghouse, they said, we buy engraved medals from Oriental Trading Company. And for our all around gold medal winners, they get a trophy cups with their favorite adult beverage. That's awesome. Dinner and a free day of paid time off. That's awesome. And then they said they'll do anything for a medal or sticker, which is really the funny. We always think we have to reward our teams with money. And a lot of times it's not the case. A lot of times is something, recognition in some other form is just as valuable to them. So I love that. The first step would be to register. Registration will close on the 27th, or when we get 150 facilities. So if we get 150 facilities, and last I checked, what did Amy say on Monday? I can't remember.
70?
What did you say?
I thought 70 some.
Yeah, it was about half. So
Yeah.
so that's probably about, so we may close registration sooner than that if we get 150 facilities. And then you'll see on that same page, you'll see the schedule. So basically the very first week of February is what we call benchmark week. That means the week that you actually practice and keep scores. It's really practice for you to know how to score everything. And you could start practicing now, though. There's no reason you can't start practicing now. But the actual official practice week is that first week of February. And then event 1 is recall. So February 8th through 12th, you'll be doing the recall. And then you submit your scores by that Friday. And then week 2, or event 2, which is group sit, is February 15th through 19th. You submit the scores at the end of that week. And then event 3 is the gate boundary. And again, you have a week to do it. And then you submit the scores by that Friday. And the way it works is that there's a link for all those scores, and you'll just keep track. We'll give you a spreadsheet that you can keep track of everything, and then you'll enter your scores, or your staff's individual scores. And the reason we give you a week is because we know your staff every staff member doesn't work every day. So that gives you the chance that if somebody only works Monday or Tuesday, they can compete. And then someone that might come in on a Wednesday or Thursday, they can still compete. So we're trying to give you enough time to let your whole team do the exercises. And then Susan, I was going to talk a little bit more about the scoring and the different levels of experience. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I do know that novice is for your newer employees that are still in training or haven't been around very long. And then there's intermediate, 1 year or less, and then advanced. They have more than 1 year level of experience. And the requirements of earning medals does vary as far as per level what that expectation is. Let me see if I can pull up dog recall.
One of the first things you'll want to do after you sign up is go and print out the guidelines. And it's the guidelines sheet that actually tell you how the scoring works and what the requirements are. Because as Susan said, for each exercise, the requirements are easier for someone who hasn't been working with dogs very long. And again, this goes back to, we wanted to make it fair, and we wanted to give everybody a chance to succeed. So if you're a newer employee, then you're not going to have to work as hard. Actually, you're probably working just as hard, but you're not having to accomplish as much as someone who might be in the facility for 6 years. So we want to make it fair in that sense.
And so for every level, there's also, like for novice, you can have an apprentice. So if you have somebody that's brand new, they can still compete. And so for like recall, we would want them to recall 50% of the dogs in their group. Whereas a novice who considers themselves master, so they may be getting close to being there 6 months to a year, they would need to recall 70% to get the gold medal. And then someone who's advanced, maybe they've just been there a little over a year, you consider them apprentice, they're at 70%, whereas a master advanced person, we would expect to get 95% of the dogs to recall to them. So the benchmarks are scaled to earn medals based on the level of experience, and then even within that, where you're at. So it's a great time to also talk to your staff about how they can improve their skills and go from being an apprentice to leader to master, because it's a great opportunity to get people to challenge themselves to do a little better. So how they do in the benchmark week, see if they can do better than that in the competition week.
Yeah, and we do find that often the people that are brand new, they're competitive and they want to get better. So a lot of times they're going to practice a little bit more so that they can get to that next level and prove to you that, oh yeah, I've only been here for a few months, but look at my skill level is up here with someone that's been here a couple years, which I think is really cool. And those are great things to recognize. And Susan's right, that benchmark week, you don't have to report anything to us for that particular week, but we do recommend that you keep that benchmark score available to you. And if you were to practice even starting this week, I would go ahead and print out those scores and keep those scores. And then you can compare those to the actual scores that you do submit in next month, because you want to celebrate the difference between those. And you're going to see a difference. I can guarantee you that your staff's going to be working really hard to improve those scores because they're going to want to win those medals, which is a lot of fun.
So for group sit, it gets harder based on the number of dogs in the group as well as how long they hold the sit. So the novice group is going for 2 seconds and maybe it's 3, 4, or 5 dogs. The intermediate handlers are doing 3 seconds, either 4, 5, or 6 dogs, and the advanced are holding for 4 seconds and anywhere from 5, 6, or 7. But I can tell you, we see a lot more than 7 in some groups. Key thing is we want to make sure it's fun for the dogs. So make sure to remind everybody to look at that body language, because we don't want to make it to where it's stressful for the dogs to hold a sit that long. We want to keep this fun. So we're always looking to make sure in the pictures and videos, we still have that happy body language from the dogs.
Yeah. And the other thing is, this is where sometimes competition can get out of hand, because we'll sometimes hear from people who are like, my staff member got 40 dogs to sit. And we're like, hopefully he wasn't in that room with 40 dogs by himself, because that's not safe. So we still want to make sure that it's not about how many dogs can you get to sit. We still want you to be safe. And our general ratio of staff to dogs is 1 staff member to every 10 to 15 dogs. And so we don't necessarily want to see, oh, look, this 1 staff member had 40 dogs today, he got them all to sit, because then we would say that's not good either. So you got to watch out for that. And then and this is all honor system, but as Susan said, we do want to see happy body language. We want to see dogs that are having fun. So we don't want to see any kind of tactics that you might use, which hopefully nobody on this call would do this, but tactics that might scare the dogs or intimidate the dogs. And then we also don't recommend or encourage the use of treats in a group setting. So we also, and this is in the rules as well, is that you're not using treats in there during the actual competition. So if you use treats in your daycare routinely just to work with the dogs, that's one thing. But when you're doing the daycare games, we're actually asking you not to use treats, because we want to see how well the dogs are responding to the cues and the praise that they get afterwards. And again, all of that is really honor system. All we can look at is the videos and how happy the dogs are, but those are in the guidelines that you'll see when you register. There's available online. You can print those guidelines out.
And the last game is the gate boundary game. And we know this is a high risk area, which is one of the reasons why this is part of our leadership exercises and part of the daycare games. And this is the one that will blow your clients and everybody away. People love to see these pictures. And like Robin said, when we go to events and show them, people are shocked that this can be done. But again, it gets harder based on the criteria, gets harder based on the experience level of the staff. So for a novice person, the closest dog could be 2 feet away, and the gate can be closed and their body positioned in the middle of the gate. And then we're looking for 3, 5, or 7 dogs. The intermediate, the closest dog is 3 feet away and the gate's partially open. And again, this is only done if it's safe. Like if we don't do this, if the gate would get them out to where they are free and could run around. For most places, there's multiple doors and gates between the play area and freedom. If you don't have that, then the gate always stays closed. Safety has to come first. But for most places, you've got multiple fences and gates. And so the gate could be partially open and the body partially blocking the gate with 5, 7, or 9 dogs. And then for advanced, we want the dogs farther away, the 3 feet again, gate fully open, and the body at the side, which means it's easier for dogs to feel like they could go through, and doing 7, 9, or 11 dogs.
So all of those regulations or guidelines are actually in the guideline document. They're also on, when you go to the Daycare Games homepage, there are links to each of the 3 exercises, and the information's also on each of those individual pages as well. So you'll see everything that you need to participate, other than your team, obviously, is all online. So you can get everything you need there. And then if you have questions, we would definitely encourage you to join our Facebook group as well, because there's a lot of people that have participated that are there before. But otherwise, we would say start practicing and get ready for the games. If anyone has questions, we're happy to answer any questions about all of this.
So I think just take advantage of the marketing and something fun to do with your team and to recognize their skill set, because a lot of them don't feel like people appreciate what they do and how hard it is. You can definitely highlight that to your community. So use it as an invitation to get maybe some dogs back into daycare you haven't seen for a while.
And then I think what typically gets people motivated is the fact that they're competing against other facilities worldwide. And
Yeah.
this is their opportunity to show how great of a job that they do. So you want to present it more as something fun for them to do, where they really can measure themselves against tons of facilities all over the world. And that, I think what typically happens is when they start to see the scores coming out, and that's when people start to get really excited, is when they see those scores posted and they see how well they did compared to other facilities that are the same size all around the world. The great thing about social media is that it's an opportunity. It does multiple things. It obviously recognizes your team members. It also shows pictures of your staff with the dogs, ideally, because I would take pictures and videos of them actually doing the games. And it shows your community that relationship that your staff has with those dogs. I think most videos in particular, people are shocked to see how well the dogs respond. Especially the gate boundary one is probably the most dramatic video that you could do, because opening a gate where there's 10, 12 dogs and the dogs are all just sitting there waiting to go through that gate, it's impressive. And if you do it all the time, you probably take it for granted. But I'm telling you, one of the videos from one of the very first years we did it was a gate boundary video that went viral. And about every 8 or 9 months, I'll see it again. It's still going viral, but it totally went viral that year. And so I will just put this out there. If you do those videos, make sure you have your watermark, like somewhere on that video, there's your logo so that if it goes viral, because that one didn't have their logo on, and they were like, oh, the one thing we should have done was put our logo on that video. But those videos and pictures, they're impressive. And so it gives you a chance to really show off your facility to the community. So I think it does a whole lot of things.
On the investment and training your team has, because not everybody does. And you may just assume that because you train your staff to do this, it doesn't mean, because look at how many other daycares around your community that don't participate, and people will notice and can see the difference in, again, when the dogs have happy body language, that comes across. Pet parents can't explain it, but they can sense it. And again, it's a way to show your team having fun with the dogs. That's the other thing, is you can see the pride and joy in the team members in those photos as well. And that, again, is why we keep doing this free event for the industry. We love seeing the result.
Yeah, and we also do press releases as well to let the general public at large. We promote obviously the fact that we're doing the daycare games, that the Dog Gurus is hosting the daycare games, and we'll share that on our Facebook page when that gets picked up, because we actually do paid service, so we know it will get out there into the news releases because we pay to have it out there. But that's another opportunity for you to share that same article to say, hey, there's this thing worldwide and we're participating. And that's going to set you apart from other facilities that aren't doing it. We really just want to encourage everybody to take advantage of this opportunity, completely free, no charge. Like literally, I'm totally serious. It's free. We are, not doing this to make money ourselves. We're doing this because we know the facilities that will take the time to train their staff are the best facilities out there. And those are the facilities we want to see succeed. They're the ones taking the best care of the dogs because they understand canine body language, which is awesome. So take advantage of that and get your staff involved and get them excited, and then plan a whole month about marketing the daycare games and just get them involved with planning